So the board will recall on April 2nd of this year, after a lengthy discussion about public comment, I was instructed to review and present to this board a set of rules regarding public comment. I have drafted a ordinance and presented it to you for your consideration in our discussion tonight. I'm going to walk through what this ordinance does, but before I do it, I will make a couple of comments that may be seen to be controversial and some folks might disagree with it. But I will say that these comments I'm about to make are absolutely correct. Number one, Georgia law does not require a time for public comment in a government board meeting. Number two, the Georgia Constitution does not require a time for public comment at a government board meeting. The United States Constitution does not require a time for public comment at a government board meeting. The Georgia Open Meetings Act does not require time for public comment during the government public meeting. However, if you do open the floor for public comment, you then become what the Constitution refers to as a public forum. You are, depending on how one defines it, a designated public forum or a limited public forum. Those are phrases that nobody at large really cares about. But what it boils down to is you cannot restrict speech based on viewpoint. You can't say, I'm going to listen to people in favor of but not against. You can't say, I'm going to listen to Republicans but not Democrats. You can't say, I'm going to listen to people that want their road paid but not people that don't want their road paid. What you can restrict is time, place, and manner. You can restrict the time public comment is permitted. You can restrict the place public comment is permitted. And you can restrict the manner in which public comment is made. And you already have an ordinance that contains some of those restrictions. Your current ordinance has the following restrictions. And this is in the ordinance, and I'll talk about this a little bit more. There's a paragraph number 2, begins on the second page of the ordinance, which is page 28 of the packet. And I want to sort of summarize what your existing rules of conduct for public meetings say. Your current rules of conduct says that in public meetings, all meeting attendees must conduct themselves in respectful manner. Personal attacks and derogatory or inappropriate remarks are not permitted. There shall be no use of profanity during the meeting. It goes on to require that cell phones, communications devices be turned off. So it's a silent mode. Meeting attendees should remain silent during the meeting while business is being conducted. No one should speak during a board meeting unless first recognized by the chair. All comments, including those made during the public comment section of the board meeting and during a public hearing, shall be addressed to the chair and not to the individual commissioner, staff, or other official. And if you violate this ordinance or if you violate a Georgia Code section that prohibits disruption of the public meeting, you will be removed. That's what you have today. And that exists in your rules of conduct. What I would propose you consider is putting whatever conditions you want to put, make them an ordinance. And there's a lot of reasons for that. Ordinances are enforceable differently than some of the rules are. Ordinances are written, they're going to be published in your code of ordinances, they're accessible, generally easily accessible to the public on Unicode, which is where your ordinances live. And that's a good idea, I think, when you have an issue like this. You address it in the most formal, publicly accessible manner possible. Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
I wrote the list.
Two questions coming. Who were the commissioners who approached you, or who approached you and asked you kind of come up and change the way we kind of conduct our meetings for us, whereas our citizens could come up and speak?
So at the last board meeting, not at the last
April
board,
2nd.
but yeah, that meeting, the board authorized the county attorney to go back and revisit that ordinance.
Second, what was said who can come up, if the chairman, somebody's, or I guess the chairman would say, I remove J.C. Venus from up there at the podium, and it would take me on. So that's something that's already has been in place, I think, for a while. So I mean, I guess the question was, what was said? It was so bad that it had board said we wanted to change the way we do our meetings, or we have our comments in our meetings, or we need another ordinance. So what was it?
I can't speak to what motivates the board to take the action. The board directed me to do this, so I did this. So I could not tell you what.
So you don't know what was said, because some of the board members tell me what was said. I mean, if there's a question I had.
Commissioner.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So this agenda item was, I believe, placed on this agenda from 2 meetings ago in lieu of canceling or doing away with the second portion of citizen comments on the agenda. Now, I'm looking at right now our current stipulations as it relates to the public participation. And what the county attorney has drawn up as a draft probably tightens it up a little bit, not a lot. I think we got some logistical issues. I don't know if we'll be able to approve this tonight. We got some logistical. One of the citizens stood up and asked this to apply to zoning hearings. I don't think it does. That's right.
And I'll get to all that.
Sign up for each session was asked, who decides what topics are discussed. Nobody decides in the second citizen comments. And when would this go into effect, and is this affected by the first amendment that you've already addressed? So we got a couple of questions we got to answer, even if we chose to adopt this. So I don't know that, just my personal opinion, I don't know that we'll be able to do it tonight, but I think the county attorney is still talking, so we're going to work through it.
So let's hear this.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
He give a comment, and then we'll move on, Mr. Chairman. I'll move on to the next person. You know, this board that brought stuff to the board's attention. First, they want to have no meeting, just call meetings. I mean, I think we all remember that. This is how just call meetings. We won't have meetings after the public come in. We just call, we come in, if we make a decision, then we go out. But the public said, no. We want to have the same meeting we've been having ever since I can remember. It may be a little discomfort for the commissioner, said, but we want to be able to speak and come to meetings. And then restricting your speech. I thought, and I've been here for a while, a bit longer than some of others, that that's the reason why we're up here, for you to come and address the issue. Now, people have called me some bad names up here. And in fact, after I walked outside the door, they used the N-word. But I never got mad because nobody ever touched me. But my point being is this. If you can't stand the heat in the kitchen, you might want to get out. With this board.
Hold on, Commissioner, hold on for a second. Guys, we are still in a public meeting. Please refrain from outbursts. But that is not tolerated in our public meetings.
All right, Commissioner, again, man. This is the problem. Ain't nobody said that when I got with it that I wouldn't be rosy. And everybody will look what I said. There's been a whole lot of folks. People have even shot up my house since I've been on the board of commissioners. I had company came and gave me from this portion right here and took me home to tell me somebody shot up my house. And so people do a lot of things to you, but you say, well, this is what I asked for. I asked for it. Then I asked for it again. Then I asked for it again. And I'm still up there asking because I want to be the best commissioner I can be to the people. And you can't be the best commissioner that you can be to the people if, first of all, the people can't see and talk to you and tell you what the needs are. And if it's not a convenient time for them to come up here, for y'all to come up here and tell us, you don't need us. to my fellow commissioners, we need to drop this and go back to every meeting and let the people decide whether or not they want to still be up here or what they want to do. Because it's not in our hands, in their hands. And one last thing I want to say, the reason why these comments are on the first, especially the first one that we have, is because a trial board heard what you said. Said we don't want to sit here all meeting long to the end of the meeting for you to tell us what we want to tell you, especially if we can tell you at the beginning of it, and then you hear us, and then we'll listen to what you're saying, and see what you do, and see if we want to keep it. Just stop changing stuff. Let it stay like it is. If you don't like it, then move on. Thank you.
And Mr. Chair, if I could go through this ordinance, I may answer some of the questions that are being raised before they're raised. So what I want to do is sort of start on the ordinance in your packet under paragraph 1A. So the first thing that this ordinance would require, and again, this ordinance will be binding on this board as well as everybody else. The first thing this ordinance will require is that there be a time for public comment related to agenda items. It is required, if an ordinance like this passes, it is required as a matter of your law, the ordinance you adopt, that you allow public comment on agenda items at every regular meeting. The only way you could avoid it would be the whole board to vote before the particular meeting. The only limitation I placed on the public comment with respect to agenda items is the last sentence in that section. And I don't mind telling you, this is a provision put in, I think, purely in self-interest of moving meetings along, and that is a time limit of 30 minutes. That may be something the board doesn't want to do, and if you don't want to do it, I totally respect that. As all of this is entirely your decision. But paragraph 1A requires that there be a time for agenda item discussion by the public. Just like it is now, 3 minutes per speaker. I propose a time limit so you can get to doing the business. If you don't want that, or 30 minutes too short, we'll take that. That's fine. Paragraph 1B, the next thing that this ordinance requires is that each meeting there is a time for public comment at which members of the public may provide public comment on any matter related to county government. Now that's a little bit of a limitation. It's any matter related to public comment. You have the public comment at the end of the meeting, so it any matters. The only thing I've suggested, and I would recommend, is you limit it to county matters. There's no reason to have public comment to talk about, taxation issues in California, right? It makes sense for whatever is discussed related to county matters. And that's pretty broad. Anything that affects Newton County would be fair game. Just like it happens today, 3 minutes per person. Again, I put a 30-minute max. That's just in the interest of moving meetings along, take it out. There's no magic in that. So paragraph 1A and paragraph 1B would codify, would require the public comment to continue like we have. Paragraph 1C makes it the law that everyone who gets up and speaks has 3 minutes to speak. So there's no change. Paragraph 1A, 1B, and 1C don't make any change except limiting the public comment, the end of the meeting public comment to matters, any matter related to county governments. Paragraph 1D, this is a new one, and I'll tell you where this came from, is that in my experience this works. It works well for a lot of reasons. It both makes the meeting move a little more efficiently. It provides a record of who's getting up and what they're talking about. And it is not in a position to be adopted based on the concerns I've already heard. What paragraph 1D does, it calls for people who wish to comment or wish to make public comment, they sign in. They sign in and they put their name. Now, I will tell you some logistics of a good way to do it. I didn't spell that out because, frankly, I didn't have the opportunity to talk to the clerk about how it would make sense for the clerk to do, and I think it might make sense to hear from the board. The notion of it is there are blank sign sheets, and then there's a place to put them. So a member of the public wants to come in, he signs blank, he fills it out, and then signs, fills it out, the information, puts it in the repository, wherever that is. And then at the end of the sign-in period, whatever that is, maybe 2 minutes before the meeting starts, something like that, the county clerk takes those, they're put in order, flips them upside down. First person to sign in will be the first person to speak. Second person to sign in, second person to speak. There's no editing, there's no censoring. If you signed up, you're going to get your green arrows. And it's just a way to order the meeting. If you'll notice what happens a lot of times in meetings, and while this isn't a big issue, a lot of times what happens is the chair will call, anyone else will just speak, and there's a 2 or 3 minute delay. There's a delay. The chair moves on, well, then somebody's talking up. That's happened in a few of the more recent meetings. That's inefficient. It puts the person who didn't get to stand up and rush up quick enough, they may lose an opportunity to speak. This proposal, if you sign in, you're going to get an opportunity to speak. Paragraph 1E. And this is not really an issue, although it could become an issue. It says, no member of the public shall be placed on the agenda for purposes of public comment except in accordance with this ordinance. In other words, no one has a right to say, John Q. Public doesn't have a right to call the chair and say, I want to be on the agenda to talk about whatever. The agenda is reserved solely to the board. You don't turn that over to let just anybody put items on the agenda. Paragraph number F, 1F, is where I try to gather up and plot down kind of the rules about what you do and what you say once you get up there. And I largely pulled this from what exists today. I cleaned the book of the language. What it says is, no member of the public shall be permitted to make personal, impertinent, slanderous, or profane remarks to any member of the board, staff, or general public. Any person who makes such remarks or who utters loud, threatening, personal, or abusive language or engages in any other disorderly conduct which disrupts or otherwise impedes the orderly conduct of any board meeting can be barred and removed from the meeting. The purpose here is not to limit what people say, but it's to ensure that the board meeting can move forward. It's a business meeting. Politics are involved too. They're always involved. But this ultimately is a business meeting that people's business has to be conducted. And we want to make sure this draft is designed to allow people to get up and say what they want to say in a way that doesn't disrupt the meeting. The next few paragraphs are fairly don't have a whole lot to but I thought it was important to address. Paragraph 1G is no public comment portion shall be included at emergency or special call meetings. Typically, if you have emergency meetings, because there's an emergency. If you have a special call meeting, it's because there's some specific thing that needs to be taken care of. We'll dispense with public comment, reserve those to your regular meetings, which are the first and third Tuesday of each month. Paragraph 8, this addresses one of the concerns, public hearings. You may schedule public hearings for the purpose of soliciting public comment on anything. If you want to have a public hearing on, a budget item or just a routine item, you can. And if that's the decision of the board, you make a public hearing. The law, Georgia law requires public hearings on zonings, a handful of other things. I'm not going to sit here and try to guess. So there's a number of things you are required to conduct public hearings on. This ordinance does not touch those. Public hearings, as mandated by law, will continue like they do now. In the context of zoning, you are required to have a public meeting. You are required to allow 10 minutes of people in favor of a zoning application and 10 minutes of people opposed to a zoning application to be heard. This ordinance does not touch that. Paragraph I, video displays are prohibited. I will tell you why that's in there. Is typically in order to make a video display, I have to connect my device or my thumb drive or some data source into the county's computer system. That's from an IT security standpoint, that's a dangerous transaction because I don't know what's on that thumb drive. I don't know what's on my device. So the easiest way to do that is just say, get up and talk. Let's not have video displays. And then paragraph J reiterates that nothing contained in this section shall serve to alter or amend the procedures for public hearings set forth in state law for zoning hearings or other matters required by state or federal law to be accompanied by a public hearing. That is all this does. This ordinance is not intended and does not affect preventing anyone from speaking. It is not intended and does not affect preventing citizens from saying what's on their mind as long as they do so within the boundaries that I talked about in section F. I made it an ordinance because an ordinance is binding on you, it's binding on me, it's binding on the citizens. And this way, it's not a matter of, well, let's let it happen, let's don't let it happen. You will be required to continue the practice of agenda item public comment and county matter public comment. You will be required to do it. Section number 2 of this ordinance, it is frankly unnecessary. I don't mind telling you. Section number 2 kind of repeats the old, what we had already. The reason I put that in there is I wanted you to see what the old rules were, and I went through those at the beginning. So my recommendation, I agree with you, I do think this takes, I do think this needs some consideration. This is, while it's not a huge ordinance, it's a page and a half of substance, I do think it requires some thoughtful consideration on your part. I will say this. You must be blind, living under a rock, never watching TV or reading the newspaper, to not understand that politics have become much more aggressive and much more personal than they ever have been in my life. I am 58 years old. I have never experienced politics at a national level that is as personal and ugly as it is today. That has drifted downwards. And I'm not blaming anybody for it. When you see it happen at one level, it drifts downwards. You want to see some difficult, ugly public comment, go to a school board. I don't know if they have that problem in Montgomery County, but a lot of school boards are having, rabid anger coming out. Primarily dealing with things, access to books, more social, sort of social issues. You don't have that. Your public comments have grown more and more personal and have grown more and more, I don't want to say disturbing, but more and more disruptive. And I do think it makes sense to occasionally remind people of the purpose of what it is.
Mr. Chairman.
But I will say, I do think this ordinance makes sense. Something like this makes sense for you to consider and to give some thought about. And I think it makes sense to codify it in a way that it can't just be changed at the whim. Make it an ordinance, make it enforceable. And I don't proclaim that this is perfect for you. There's some business decisions for you to make. This is a highly personal decision for you. It's going to impact the community to some extent. I don't think it impacts the community to the extent that people are afraid it does. I don't think you'll see a massive change in how it happens. Even if you were adopted as written, I don't think there will be a big change in how public comments proceed. If you have any questions, I'm happy to try to answer them. I'll stand here as long as it takes to answer all the questions you ask.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Sanders first. Commissioner Sanders, go ahead.
Yes, sir. First, thank you for your comments. It was interesting. And first, I want to apologize to the residents. My capability on this end is disabled, so I cannot speak when I can speak, and when I cannot speak, I used to be able to do so, but on the Zoom, I don't have the capability. I had a conversation with my colleagues today. I am in Houston, Texas, with 25 other commissioners from across the United States. And we were talking about this county, Houston County. We have made national news. And some of the things, they were shocked that we even put this on the agenda. I've watched board of commissioners meetings here in Atlanta and watched residents sing a whole song about a commissioner. And that commissioner was clapping, stood there, and went off with their business. I've seen many meetings, and as commissioner here say, if you can't take the seat, get out the kitchen. People come at me all the time, and not once have you heard me say, "Here is this time." When I was talking to my colleagues, they were shocked because it's a state law for them that they have to have citizen council. So residents, I implore you to reach out to your state delegation to make sure this is mandatory in the state of Georgia. Because other states, it's mandatory. Also, the sign-in sheet solution, I brought that up 2 years ago, but no one heard me. Because a lot of the residents did not want their address stated, and they want a little bit more order. As well as looking at our ordinance, there's a portion that says the citizen is required to actually state their name, their address, and I just came out from it, and the Roy Davis was the presenter. I just came from a transparency in government meeting where it stated that's not required for a citizen to state their address. They don't have to. They can just say in the cabinet, they can just say their name and move on about their day. So that's actually in our document, so we need to find out what is correct and what is not correct. Because I sent that information to the board. My information came from that class. That is not required. Placing it on the agenda is very interesting. Because I heard from the commissioners that they were the ones who actually requested the second comment to be on there. And Commissioner Henderson is right. It was 3 commissioners that wanted this to be placed on the agenda because they stated that at the meeting. They stated who the commissioners were. And one of the commissioners directly said, I was the one who actually wanted this placed on the agenda. And the other 2 commissioners, Commissioner Mason and Edwards, stated that I was a part of it. Because I asked the question, how can one commissioner place something on the agenda when I'm always told we have to be 3 commissioners? Residents have a voice. They all vote. They're not quiet anymore than what you used to in the past. They see what's happening in town. They don't speak up. So trying to suppress their voices is saying to them, you voted me in, I want to shut you up. You voted me in, I don't care what you have to say. You voted me in, you're going to listen to me because I'm your boss versus they are the boss because they voted us in to represent them in this county. It's a disgrace to me. It's a serious disgrace. And my colleagues here are actually watching the current meeting right now. So shout out to them. And it's really a disgrace because we're trying to suppress the residents of Newton County, voicing their opinions, voicing their concerns. I just had a housing symposium, a housing forum. And one of the things that those residents stated was that they wanted to have a session either monthly or bi-monthly where they can talk to us. They have stated on numerous occasions that certain commissioners don't talk to them, that certain commissioners don't answer their calls. So this is the only time they get out. So if you have a session for them to be able to speak and say how they feel or say what's going on in the county, then guess what? You won't have power because you gave them a platform. Also, silencing residents for special call meetings. I believe that any time we're having a vote on something that's going to change the trajectory of this county, put policies in place, create laws, we should always have citizen council. Because we are the local government. We determine how our residents are going to live, we affect their livelihood. So telling them they cannot speak, that's a problem. Thank you.
Commissioner Mason.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just want to add further to the discussion. I don't believe this board is trying to eliminate public comments. So I want to reiterate that. The objective is not to not allow.
He's one of the main ones trying to strip away your
any
rights
to actually
to
speak.
address your governments.
I think where the potential of misconstruing is coming in is that I think the board wants to make sure that all of our board meetings are professionally done. Just because we see other board meetings in other counties, other cities, other states conduct their board meetings
Fox
differently
number 1.
than we do, doesn't necessarily mean that we have to do what we see other boards do. Let's be leaders. Let's do something better. Let's do something different. And so I think we can conduct our board meetings from a professional space. And I think if you look at what the county attorney has actually put out in this particular ordinance, this ordinance, all it does, it just gives additional guidance. How we talked about, I believe this was in 241F, to make no member of the public shall be permitted to make personal, impertinent, slanderous, or profane remarks to any member of the board. I think that's the only thing that we're really trying to address. I don't think that our residents should utilize this particular platform to slander a board member because they didn't do or say or vote the way you deemed necessary. I think that this platform should be utilized only for, Board of Commissioners, I have an issue where my road needs to be paved. Board of Commissioners, I have signage, that needs to be addressed in my community. Board of Commissioners, I see that, there is some potential things that's going on in my community that I would like for you all to address. I think those are appropriate things that our residents should be coming to this board and bringing. In addition to coming to this board meeting, you can call your commissioner, you can text them,
You don't want to
you
know
can email them. Social media is huge right now.
how you call them out
I think
when they spend your
the
money.
majority of our commissioners are on social media, and so you're able to reach out to them via social media as well. So this platform is not the only solution to actually speaking to your board, and I think we should allow citizens' comments. Let's just make sure that it is professional. When we go to these classes on a state level, on a national level, these classes are not law. They are recommendations. Hey, this is what we've seen work in the past. It's not like, oh, well, now because you've taken this class, you are mandated to go back to your board and say it has to be conducted or ran in this manner. It is, hey, this is a recommendation. Let's see if this works. This has worked for other counties. If you want to try it, you can. If you don't want to try it, you don't have to. But when we go to these classes, I've never heard an instructor say, this is Bible, this is law. It has to be done this way. It's always recommendations or suggestions. Also, you mentioned in this ordinance as well, we can allow a special call meeting. If we have a specific hot topic that's going on in this community and we really want to hear the voice of the community at this platform, we can call a special call meeting.
They don't want to hear from you, Newton County.
To actually speak on that specific subject matter. So we can actually do that per this particular ordinance. So that ordinance actually addresses that. So I just wanted to provide additional discussion to this topic on what I just heard. So thank you, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chair.
He gonna be one of the people that vote to shut you down and limit your comments in Newton County.
Before I make my question, the class I was referring to was the Open Records Act, so we didn't have to call it that law. It was taught by our actual county attorney, which is Gerard. So when they give us law on how we have to follow, we can actually decide it by the attorney general. So that it came from an attorney, not just
One reason they want to do that so they can retaliate against you, just in case you come up there and say something that they don't like. So that's one of the reasons they want you to give out your address and your personal information so they can retaliate against
Are we
you.
trying to add, keep only one citizen comment where it's only on agenda item, and then take away the second one, where the citizens, for instance, they may say something's going on with their roads, and they're waiting to the end to speak on their roads. Are we taking away that one? Because if you're saying a citizen can only speak on agenda items, then when can they address the full board to speak on something else that pertains to them?
Absolutely not. So paragraph 1A of the draft ordinance deals with public comment on agenda topics. Paragraph 1B of the proposed ordinance requires public comment on any matter related to county governance. So you would keep both public comment portions. You would keep the agenda item, which would makes most sense at the beginning of your agenda, just like it's done. And you would keep the other topics wherever you so the board chooses. And both of those public comment sections would continue under the ordinance as drafted.
Okay, and so also, you said limited the amount of time. Are you just speaking on the whole portion of that part? Like, for example, the first citizen comment is based on agenda. So is that one going to be 30 minutes, and then the second one's also going to be 30 minutes? Or are you trying to limit the amount of time that they speak?
So each individual is limited to 3 minutes.
Right.
The proposal I drafted would limit agenda topics to a total of 30 minutes. And it would also restrict the general public comment to a total of 30 minutes. So it would be 30 minutes each. But, yeah, 30 minutes total for each one. So I'm not saying you should or must adopt that. I'm putting that as an option for you. If the board chooses not to go that direction, I think that's fine. But it would ensure some efficiency.
This is one way to punish the residents of Newton County.
Thank you.
They ought to punish Newton County.
Thank you.
Commissioner Mason, Stan Edwards.
If we have a public meeting with our constituents.
And don't forget the chairman, Chairman Baines. They're all out to stifle, suppress your right to address this government.
Commissioner's decision.
Well, ultimately, it is the commissioner's decision. If the board wants to have a public forum or something like that, the board certainly can do that. I would not suggest that you should. That's entirely up to the board.
I believe that we should, because in order for us to effectively govern, as I think some of my colleagues have said, then we need to ask our public as to how might they want us to do this. Secondly, if 3 commissioners, so if 3 commissioners wants to change it, then change it. It's not where you have a majority or all commissioners or supermajority. It's just 3 commissioners change it, and that's it.
So if this is approved as an ordinance, it would take a vote of a majority of the Board of Commissioners to amend the ordinance. And that's part of the reason I recommend you do it as an ordinance.
Okay. So it will take 3 commissioners who have already said they want to change it.
Mm-hmm.
And they said because some insults that they said that somebody did or said, one person, everybody, all the whole Newton County is being punished for it. And the deputies, as I was here, the deputies told the gentleman to leave. He turned around and left. It should have been a simple majority, or at least a majority of the vote is for that, because you're leaving out 2/3, 2/5 of the population on the city that made it the entire majority of Newton County citizens don't want to change. They'll just close this.
Let me make,
Because make my little statement on leaving, you say whatever you want to say. This is an election year. We send you all kind of stuff to you, those vote for me. And when they come there, the public come in, they go shit you out. I said, we don't care what you said. We don't even care if you had a forever chemistry, but you get a test kit. I'm sure you want a test kit to test yourself. They do not care. And I'm gonna say this, I'm saying it up here, and I say it out there in the street, and I say it at home. Stop supporting people who don't support you. Thank you. Commissioner Mason.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. One last thing. I don't think public comment should be limited to 1124 Clark Street. I think what we're trying to do is we're trying to limit public comments to this one space. We as elected officials, we're here to speak on behalf of our residents. And so we should be
We already
having
know.
public comments with our residents.
These two here
all
on this
the time.
video.
So
They want
not only on an
to suppress your vote.
we should be having phone calls.
Stan
with our
Elbert is up for
residents.
election.
We should be having events.
You
in
should
our
not be voting
community
for him
where our residents
or Chairman
can come out
Baines.
and have those conversations. We can have town halls. So I don't want this board to feel as if 1124 Clark Street is the only place that public comments can be stated. All 5 of the Board of Commissioners should be having public comments on a regular basis. As a matter of fact, my colleague Commissioner Henson just had a town hall. I think that's great. We should be having those town halls. We should be having those meetings. And once we go out and hear from our residents in our respective districts, then we can bring that back to 1124 Clark Street. I don't know if we should say, hey, I have, 20,000+ residents in my district. Well, I need to say it, and I need to have all 20,000 residents come to 1124 Clark Street and say the exact same thing. If that's the case, then you don't need us as elected officials. We are the residents' voice. We are here to speak on their behalf. Let's stop limiting public comments to 1124 Clark Street. Let's get out into the community. Let's knock on our residents' doors throughout the year when it's not an election year. Let's have events where we can talk to our residents on a consistent basis to hear what it is that they want, and then bring it back to this board and say, I've had a town hall, this is what the residents of my district is stating. So let's not limit public comments to this particular platform. Let's, as elected officials, go out and talk to communities on a regular basis and have those conversations. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thanks, sir. Pat.
Before I leave, I want to make 3 quick comments. First of all, I've heard a lot of talk about the elimination of public comment. If it is this board's desire to eliminate public comment, this ordinance does not accomplish that. I want that just to be clear. This ordinance does not eliminate public comment. Next thing I want to do is I'm not going to point out who said anything, but there was a comment to suggest that the sort of the better purpose for public comment is to come express our needs. I want to remind the board that the right to criticize you is a fundamental right under the First Amendment. There is no version of an ordinance that I can draft, short of eliminating all public comment, that would remove the right of the citizenry to criticize public officials. I can limit the manner in which they criticize. Can't yell at me, can't threaten me. I can make some effort to try to keep it a little bit more productive. But the criticism of you is the very fundamental nature of the First Amendment. But the last thing I want to say, I don't know how long we've been talking about this, but I want to say this about this discussion. I practiced local government law for 30 years. This discussion makes me happy, and let me tell you why. I expect when I got up, a lot of people want to edge clenched teeth, but here's what you've got. You've got an engaged citizenry behind you. You have a robust debate about what this ordinance should say. You may or may not make a decision tonight. This is how government works. It just so happens that it's an issue that is an important issue, and that it touches a lot of people directly. If you had a debate like this on every item on your agenda, I would be exhausted, but I would be happy. This is the type of debate you should be having. The fact that I'm asked tough questions, I love this. This is the reason I'm a local government lawyer, because I think you should think through decisions you're making. You should tackle the hard decisions, and you should make the decision that you as a body think is appropriate. I don't always agree with that decision. I don't have to agree with that decision. And I don't get to make that decision. I've never been elected to anything, and I never will be elected. But it is my job to present you with options. It is your job to suffer through these types of discussions, to engage with the constituency, figure out what the right way to do it is. And I would say to all of you, you deserve a pat on the back for having this hearing each other's questions and concerns. I will make myself available to any one of you to answer any question you have, and I would invite all of you to review the ordinance, mark it up as much as you want to mark it up, criticize as much as you want to criticize it. This will impact you and the citizens a whole lot more than it impacts me. I will provide whatever ordinance this board ultimately decides.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
We close on Commissioner Evans.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So at this time, you entertain that, I'd like to make a motion.
Thank you. Period 30 days pending.
This is your other one who would like to strip you of your right to address your government. Better yet, suppress your ideas, your opinion, or your criticism of this body. This attorney, along with these three, are out to
Can I get a second?
stifle your voice.
Second by Commissioner Henderson. And we take this for 30 days, get Commissioner opportunity to look at it and make comments and suggestions to that. Any discussion?
Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Henderson, go ahead. Commissioner Henderson first. Okay, I just want to say this. If citizens in New County, I'm gonna tell you something, and I'll give you nothing about this, heard or seen anything like it. But Stephen, it has came before this board in my lifetime. I ain't never heard of, I have never heard of a board of commission that don't have no meetings. We just want to just call me when we discuss something and go on. I ain't never know the commission don't want you to have a citizen come in. And what we're really doing is seriously thinking about having it. I don't know. I'm gonna just tell you, you better wise up and stop doing some of these folks. But before you do it, we gonna have a good meeting. I guess I'm wise. You just be walking around and you go to the machine and you say, well, I think we'll vote this person and that person. After the folks who want to listen to us and have a say in our government. It's what it used to be about, having a say. Have folks you can talk to, have them coming in to the horseshoe, and you have a meeting and tell us what you want us to hear. They couldn't out of that, John. And maybe I'm just an old man, still in the kind of old ways, but I'm telling you, changing off fast, and I don't think it's good. Thank you, Mr. Commissioner Sanders.
Yes, sir. My suggestion is we're taking it for 30 days, and that 30 days we got a open forum with the residents of Newton County. The reason why I say that is that I'm going back to that housing forum listening to the residents, that we don't listen to them, we don't hear them. So one thing I said in the housing forum, even when I advertised, I said, if you're gonna come with concerns, with issues and gripes, bring me solutions. And so they brought solutions. So I believe within that 30 days, we need to have an open town hall right here in the boardroom and have the residents come before us and speak. And then we vote, because we're completely not doing this. Thank you.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. It passes. Passes 5-0. Ms. Hammond.
Yes, sir. The next item on the agenda is item number 11, presented by our Senior Services Director.
They tabled that citizen comment, they tabled it
Senior Services is requesting
for 30 days.
vending service agreement with Money Box Vending LLC for vending machine services at our Senior Services facility.
Good evening.
Good evening. We have a contract. Contract in front of you is I have seniors that would like to have a vending machine in their facility. And we do serve lunch and breakfast, but every now and then in between they want snacks. So we had a young man, Mr. James Newton, who is the owner of a vending company. He came, he approached us and talked to us about putting one machine into our facility to see how our seniors would react to that. And the best thing about that is he has promised that whatever he makes, we will receive 10%. So there's no cost to the county to put the machine into our facility. So I'm asking the board to approve that, and I appreciate it.
Thank you. I seek a motion, please.
No more.
Motion by Commissioner Mason, second by Commissioner Henderson. Any discussion? All in favor? Commissioner Sanders?
Yes, sir, aye.
Thank you. It passes 5-0. Thank you so much.
Thank the board for loving our seniors.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, next item on the agenda is being presented by Mr. Jeff Pryor, our project manager for Parks and Recreation. Purchasing Department is requesting approval of amendment number 1 of
David Norton, Newman. To the county attorney, you did a fine job a while ago. You've almost restored my faith in the attorney profession. Last week, Commissioner Sanders held a public forum, and I'd like to thank her for the opportunity for us to speak. It was mentioned that Newton County citizens were going to other counties to shop, and we need ways to keep those dollars in Newton County. Yesterday, I saw a notice about the Board of Education and East Coast taxes. Also coming before this board is the action on impact fees. I have already seen a receipt from a restaurant that had an impact fee added on to that receipt. It may have been from the city of Covington. And if we're still have other commissioners from across the county or across the state, across the country listening, maybe we shouldn't give billion-dollar corporations a tax break and have them pay for our schools and roads. If we're bringing them here to increase the tax base and creating a need for more housing. If my bill for whatever I'm purchasing in this county here has added taxes and fees, then I will be looking for a cheaper place to shop. To steal a term from Mr. Mason a while ago, if this board needs consultants to be subject matter experts on paying taxes, at the beginning of this meeting, we had a room full of them. So, thank you for your time.
Anyone else?
This is my first night coming to this meeting. And I was really looking for something different. I'm kind of disappointed. Because this agenda right here, I don't see a lot that's dealing with situations around government. And everybody get a chance to go in here and get this approved, get that approved, but what about the people that are homeless? What about, there's a whole lot of stuff going on in these neighborhoods that are not on this agenda. This is not people's business that's on it. Okay, now, the other not Senator, but Congresswoman Sanders, the homeless issue. Now, she showed a video of some, the little small home, tiny homes or whatever, that certain countries are using, certain states are using to help homeless, getting people help, got different things set up. That this is the new thing. It's like nobody wants to change the square footage of the homes. You know, it's like, oh, you gotta have 1,800 square feet. But people live in an apartment, 900 square feet. So why they can't live out here in a 900 square feet tiny home or 700 square feet? I can live in an apartment. You can give the buildings around here the permission to build 300, 400,000 homes, which won't let me build a 20,000. Or you won't let the person that wants to build a home 20,000. See, this people business, you know, but this right here, I'm like, I'm stunned, really. And then you keep us here all night just to get up here to say this. I've never been in a meeting that took so many hours. to address.
They don't want you to speak.
basically nothing.
That's why they're holding it so long.
Well, you approve to build this, you approve to do this, you approve to put a pipe in the ground, that's people's business. When you got people out here suffering, can't even buy groceries, can't even afford to live, can't even afford to pay rent, and you won't let them build a tiny house. I got property, my own property, and you won't let me build a tiny house on it. It has to be 1,800 square feet. When I can turn around, I can put 3-4 houses on there and rent somebody for $400-500. That's nice, that they can live. But no, they won't let you do it here. But you go there now, you can go to the County, you can go to Savannah, you can go to Monroe, you can go everywhere.
Thank you, sir.
But they won't let you do it here.
Thanks so much. Anyone else? Please state your name, your address, and your name is something like that.
You got it. You got it. You got it. You got it. The deal for everybody. But then you call my address. My name is Tracy Bell. My dad's name is Charles Long. You hear right down the street from me, Marcellus. My dad has dementia. You told me to go get a loan to fix my dad's house. Then you just stood up here and asked them people how much did the city donate? How much you gonna donate to my dad to fix his house? That's what I wanna know. You give everybody money. You tell them a lie. You can't call you because I don't call you. I email everybody up here on this phone. Ain't nobody called me. I send you a thing. You asked me, did I bring the paper? What if you said, yes, I brought the paper. But you still ain't called me. Yes, I didn't know care. But then, let me tell you something. Don't ever talk about no cancer or whatever. I'm a nurse. And it takes common sense to get knowledge. Back when a lot of us were born, they had midwives, one of them doctors. They had to use what they was taught because they didn't go to school. Don't do that. Don't do it. Enough is enough. Now I want to know when y'all gonna fix my dad's house. Y'all got all the paperwork. When my mama died, they took it off the table. So when you gonna fix my dad's house? I got 1,020,000. When you gonna fix my dad's house, you get. I know if they spent 25,000, you gonna get that. So you gonna give us 30,000? Because we ain't taking no loan now. No, we're not. No, we aren't. So why y'all ain't talking to me? Why? Y'all ain't got nothing to say. Y'all milking the system. Y'all taking the money. Where's that? You got 100,000. Tell me you got to finish the houses you did with 100,000. You ain't getting nothing. You ain't getting nothing. No, you ain't. Yes, I'm mad. You my district. But you ain't getting nothing. Y'all ain't getting them to sit here and lie. Told lies. And you know what you know my brother? My brother a crook too. Just tell him I said it. Tell him exactly what I said. And I meant what I said. My name is Kevin. I was here at the meeting on the 2nd. And I was having to you all, and you all said you looked into it. Mr. Cooper, I talked to you several times, no calls back. Ms. Hodges, no call back. Or they're gonna call the contractor with the issue that I'm having. And the issue that I'm having is, I'm not the only one. Maybe speak it up. correct, for number one. Number two, I have sense enough to know if you buy materials for any job, you get a warranty with it. Not only a warranty, you get information on who to contact in case there's something wrong. But Mr. Cooper, I don't understand why I came here and I spoke to you. You promised that you would look into this. But every time I talk to you, it's always, Ms. Hodges, talk to her. Ms. Hodges, talk to Mr. Cooper. What's going on? Why we can't get little things like this addressed? When you said the last time I was in the meeting, you was gonna look at it, because I brought up the fact that seniors don't realize what is wrong at the time. When these contractors come in, that's when y'all list. But yet still, no reaction. Why? Why we can't get some type of protection against contractors that don't do us right? If it's your grandparents, your parents, your home, what would you do? What would you do? And it was under a program of the county. What would you do? Tell me so I could do it. That's all I want to know. That's why I feel so invisible when I come to these meetings. Because it just seems like it just doesn't matter. You said what you said, I get on. Okay, I get it. But I'm going to come back, and I'm going to come back. Because I hate to feel invisible when I pay my taxes, when you all that's sitting in a position to help seniors or anybody else in the community. If you can't help guide them, I ask for guidance happening in the school. Just guide them. What you do? Nothing. You avoid my calls or don't call me back. And that's very annoying to know that county manager don't even have enough respect for a citizen to say, hey, I can't do nothing for you, versus I'll get back with you and no. How would you feel? If even one of your board members did that to you, and you had a very important thing on the agenda, and you never got back, what would you do? Mr. Mason, what would you do if you got that from one of your colleagues?
Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for what?
Thank you so much.
Really?
In 3 minutes.
Okay, you gonna do anything? No.
Anyone else? Just like you got, a lot of stuff is cricket, because he put on there double doors, you know, 2 double doors, and I held single doors each, and the doors was like almost $2,000, almost $3,000, but double doors, you know, front and back. But he put in 2 cheap nose doors, and it cost both together about less than $1,000, you know. And then he called me and he said, "You act like it's your money." I don't know what to do. I started in June, you know, trying to get the grant, and I was approved in November. He come out to work at the end of January of this year, and it's been like 2 months. They've been calling you from out there, "Hey, do it, get a sign, you come do it." I was not signing there because he had had 2 months, you know, to like finish the work, but didn't. So I'm not going to sign it, but they just keep on telling me. He said, "Every time they try to get in, blah, blah, blah," but I'm not signing there until, you know, the work is done.
Don't sign it. Don't sign it. Don't sign it.
You sign it. I got your lawyer. I got one.
Good evening. Yeah, I was not speaking tonight, but just listening to somebody say that, I figure I'd say a couple comments. I spent most of my life in the Army. I'm a retired officer, and my colleagues that are retired too, we kind of see things around this country, and there's a lot of problems we see. And it means a lot to us because, you know, we've served people that haven't come back. And it probably touches us when we see problems in this country more. It touches a lot of people here. And we can fix a lot of these things. And some of the things that the federal government, yeah, we can't, but I figure I try to get a little bit involved with the local government here. One thing that kind of upset me is hearing this, trying to restrict these public comments, or whatever you want to call it. In this country, with freedom, there's going to be disagreements, there's going to be different opinions. If you want a real efficient system, you can go to China and have the best meetings run you can. And once in a while, if people are upset, it's because they're probably frustrated. I looked up the other day, last year there was a study done at Pew Research Institute, and I sent it to a couple of commissioners. The 6% approval, 6% of the American population feels that democracy is working in this country. It's the lowest it's ever been. People at all levels are believing their government's failing. And I kind of see it because they're not listening. I mean, if somebody comes here and they're upset, yeah, they're upset because they're frustrated. Just don't take it personally. They have nowhere else to go. They're looking at you guys as the ones that can make the decision to affect their lives. And trying to restrict what they're going to say, if the people we're supposed to be serving have no faith in the government, they're not even going to show up. I go out there on the street every day and I listen to people. All I hear is complaints. And, you know, I take it personally because this country meant a lot to me, and it still does. I mean, I've gone to war with people that haven't come back. And this is not what they would want to see. You know, people having more and more restrictions. There's so many laws and orders, something you can keep track. You know, I don't think you're doing a service putting more restrictions on people. And if I'm hearing somebody gets upset at somebody, I'll go calm them down. But don't take it personally. Don't, you know, make them live in a police state. Let them express themselves. You know, let them gain some faith in the government. You know, that's, you know, just think about it. I mean, when I serve, I mean, in some real rough situations, yeah, people are going to be frustrated. They're going to, you know, express all kinds of things. Don't take them personally. Just try to empathize with them.
Thanks so much.
So, thanks for your time.
What's your name again?
James Gillespie. I'm at 120 Bluegrass Way.
Thanks, sir.
And Commissioner Sanders is still on the phone. Appreciate you getting back to me when I send you some
Thank you, sir.
comments. Thank you.
Name, please.
spoke to his government. Whether or not you guys heard him or not, it's a whole different story. He already didn't ask you, but I'm asking you, do not violate people's right to come here and address the government. Mr. Baines, last time I was here, you kicked Arthur Shepherd out of this public meeting. So that was one strike, but I ain't tell how many other people you been violating. Then I want to tell you, why would you restrict the people's right to address the government? If I want to sit up and curse, I should be able to sit up and curse. You guys work for the people. We don't work for you guys. You take our tax dollars and do what you please with them. So no county, these people up here do not care about what you say to them. If you're not giving them money, if they're not spending your money, the taxes going up, they're not listening to you. They really probably don't want us here unless they get activities. But we're not here to give you activities. We're here to address this government and why you guys are so corrupt and not want the people to speak their mind. And then these ladies out here, under the Aquafund money, Miss Kennedy, Mr. Cooper, you guys was in charge of $21 million of taxpayer money. You ran out. You only gave our own sheriff $100,000. But how much did you give Piedmont Hospital that you got to actually pay to go in there? They don't work, Piedmont don't work for the citizens, but Ezell Brown worked for the citizens. He should have got the bulk of that money. How much money did you give Piedmont? That was a lot of money that could have went to help these people in Newton County. $21 million, 275 people served. So what happened to the rest of it? We're talking about $15 million. Disappeared. So I'm saying this, you guys are some of this stuff. But it's election time in Newton County. Please get out and vote. Please, because we have a dysfunctional government here. When I say dysfunctional, they got stuff to hide from you. You can't even pull the open record here in this county without going through Cheerio. Try to do an open request, FOIA request on the ARPA fund money. Try it. Put in a request for the ARPA fund money and see what you get. They won't get no laid out sheet of everything they spend that money on. They got something to hide. Good luck in the county.
Thanks, sir. Anyone else? State your name and address for the record, please.
Hi, my name is Rita Roth-Barbarick. I live off Dixie Lane in Covington. The main thing that I wanted to talk about is Softball Corners and Morgan Farms. The signs for the signs for the rezoning have still not changed. They still say back from March or so, maybe before that. The signs, the last time they were changed, it looked like somebody put some very thin masking tape on with like a thinnest Sharpie I've ever seen. And they're saying, oh, we updated it. And the last meeting I went to for the planning commission, it was postponed because of improper advertising. I'd really like to see it properly advertised if possible. I was considering calling, but I thought maybe it'd be better if I came to the meeting. And the other thing is that for the item 10, I just wanted to let you know, you spoke about that for 48 minutes. I know that it was really important that you talked about it, had good points, but we're talking about limits and things like that. I just wanted to let you guys know you spoke for 48 minutes about one topic on the agenda. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So, I want to beat the dead horse some more on this comment. It blows me away. We are not. Now, we originally had talked about removing the second commission comments, our citizen comments. We are in a stage now where we're refining defining the current guidelines and codifying. I do agree with codifying, making it law, whatever it is. Even if we don't make any changes, take what we got now and codify. We're not trying to restrict anyone's speech, except when you get up there and make false accusations about commission. That's the only thing we're trying to restrict. But we got people that
You're on the
can't
defensive. You're trying to protect yourself. He don't like to be called out.
I'm going to make sure, I'm going to keep pushing until we get
So we
this
just gonna
finished. And what the real shame of it is to me is that we've got to spend all this time when all people have to do is exercise just a little bit of decency. That's all.
You can't do decency when you're corrupt.
To the gentleman on the front row that served in our military, thank you.
You don't mean
To
that.
the gentlemen, to the people that didn't come home, I don't deserve to breathe their air. Okay? But to compare this to a communist, to a Chinese communist is way out.
The veteran was correct.
That's exactly what you said. That's exactly what you said.
See, now he's on the attack. He's one of the main ones that should be voted out.
I served too. Did you serve?
Thank you, sir.
Did you serve?
No, sir.
Okay then, see, we don't even need to hear from you because you don't even know what it means. You don't even know what it means to serve this country and then come in here and see all of this. We serve.
This is a true veteran speaking. Let me get you.
That's all right.
That's a veteran speaking. Passion. That's our other veteran. See, Commissioner Edwards, he's corrupt. He's bought and paid for. He's going to do whatever they tell him to do. He's not going to vote to protect your right to free speech.
Resolution and finality with this because it's taking up too much of our time. It's getting to our productivity. So I ask that we move forward. Secondly, I would challenge the community, absolutely challenge the community to get involved with our coming
He's corrupt. He's not going to protect your right to free speech.
If you know a corporation is looking to get involved in something like that, that's a wonderful. My dad was passionate and one of the original members of that board, so it's near and dear to my heart. So, and to the people that we recognize, the organizations we recognize for the ARPA funding, I believe it was Oxford Baptist and the 4-H, and I forget the name of the other organization. It was an acronym, I forget, but you've heard me say it 10,000 times. Those organizations fill in the gaps for what government can. They fill in the gaps for where other organizations can. If it weren't for them, our society would absolutely collapse, I believe. So I just want to thank them for what they do. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, sir. Mr. Stanley.
I have my timer over here in case I can't see you guys, so I'm gonna have it in 6 times. I'm gonna say this to the residents of this county. Your county is a subsidiary of the state. This is know your state legislature, your state rep, and so forth, and what you desire. I know tomorrow is a meeting where you schedule with the governor. I posted on my page, you got the meeting to sit over. Get familiar with individuals on the state level. I had actually something written out, and I'm looking to the constituents in regards to the ARPA funds. When the ARPA funds came into the county, I was so excited. One of the reasons why I love education and love traveling and hearing from other commissioners in various areas, I love their perspective. I'm a part of a cohort, and they pay for everything, so it's not coming out of county. I learned from the county to get it right. An effective leader listens and learns. And so, sitting here listening and hearing how great they were able to utilize their ARPA and hearing residents frustrated and citizens that are the age of my parents and still living crying for us. story, giving another story, nobody's coming back, and he said, you lost my application, you told me to turn it in. It's a problem. These ARPA funds are supposed to be something as a blessing for those who want to pay. And to tell residents they should be grateful, I've heard that comment, it came to me. It's a travesty, and we have to do that. Again, I am here with 4 county officials advancing racial equity and justice, where we actually just visited the Harris County Jail, which is the women empowerment system, learning about jail systems for women. Because as they stated, jail systems were not designed with women in mind. And so this county has found a way of jail reform, criminal justice reform for women, where they have various programs for them, from even getting them educated, even after also sponsored, jail sponsored, where they are certified when they get out this program, and once they leave, they have jobs waiting for them. And the idea of us being here is to be able to bring that back to county so we can implement it, and so we can think about jail reform. As we know, the majority of your residents that are in the jail system, because they are residents, they're counted by the census. Majority of them are mental illness. 55% of the population in your jail system have mental illness. And so we have to provide that service for them. So I'm thankful for that as well. Speaking on Robert Rule Order, I took that Robert Rule Order class by an attorney at the NACO conference in July. It was a packed room full of attorneys. I actually spent that over and I have it recorded. I really would like for us, and I've talked to Patrick about this, to actually have a Robert Rule report. Things that I say are not coming from political things. That came from attorneys, and I can provide you with a report. So there are certain things that we do here in the county that we're not doing right. I haven't learned. So we have to open our minds up to learn from others and don't think we just doing the right thing here in the county when we have outlets to teach us how to get it right. Thirdly, I'm honored to also receive my 3rd certification from UGA HCG for citizen engagement. I'm excited about that, and I was asked 3 months ago, I never said anything, to actually sing the national anthem at the HCG conference, which I did last week, and I was honored to be asked by HCG to do that. And my last comment is going to be a dedication to my brother, my accountability partner in District 3, Timothy Brown, Tim Brown. When I met Tim Brown when I became commissioner, he was an advocate for me for day one. He was, there's no words to express how I feel about Timothy Brown, for those who don't know. He was my logistics coordinator on my current campaign and supported me on my last one. But not only that, I could call him, he could call me, he hold me accountable. I could have real conversations with him. I handled death differently, so it was really hard for me to sit there. I don't remember you the way that I saw you here on earth. I don't want you to land that casket. So I say to Timothy Brown, you will be missed, my brother, for another month. I thank you for all that you've done.
Why didn't you cut her off?
Thank you. Thank you.
Why haven't you cut her off? No, seriously. You cut us off for 3 minutes. She's supposed to be cut off for 4.
Thank you. Appreciate you.
I've been told that before.
For 3 years and a half, people disrespected me. People come up to the horseshoe and they would accuse me of stealing. And I smile, they make comments, and then they won't wait to but I can respond to what they had said and leave out. And for 3 years and a half, they even took it to the grand jury. Commissioner Calvin was going to take it to the grand jury, took it to the GBI and the FBI. 3 rolls of toilet paper and some broccoli. Over $300,000. And in the same van that I own in my yard for the kids, Dozen Heights, 501c3. Guess what? They would ride by, they hired investigators ride by seeing our movie. And I said, for $300,000, being in the community, I could have fixed up one of those, one of the senior citizens' homes. We're spending a whole lot of money, and we need not to forget about our seniors. Half of those folks, they get their home fixed. You can come with a And so, we might have a shelter, but it's not big enough for all the people that need a home. We need to do something. We need to help people. We need to do more. Mr. Captain.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I've heard a lot. I'm not sure exactly where I'm at. I do know that nobody's trying to restrict anybody's speech in that. But we do need to have some level of decency for people that come on this board. And that's all I'm really looking for is just be decent. There's no, I mean, that's just something you should have been taught when you were at home. My mom and dad, that's the way they raised me. But I don't have anything, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Mason.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. A lot of great things that we dealt with today. A couple of things I did want to touch on. Mr. Lewis Williams, thank you for bringing that up in regards to homeless and addressing tiny homes. That has definitely been a passion of mine previously, and have done my best to address the homeless community. And looking at tiny homes, we don't currently have an ordinance in place right now. That's why you may not see tiny homes. They do have it in the city of Cody, and I think that's a conversation that this board should definitely have into actually getting an ordinance in place. I think we brought that up previously, but it's probably a great idea for us to delve more into that and really come up with an ordinance to address. And now they don't call them tiny homes, they call them cottages, which is the political thing to call them cottages. And to really address that, because I think you're right. I've gone to several conferences on a national level, and I've actually visited some cottage communities. A lot of those cottage communities are predicated upon income, and so it's all based on what your income level is to be able to move into those. Some of them, they have it set up where you can purchase them, or you can actually lease them. So everybody's not in a position to be able to purchase. So you kind of really want to cater to your community to be able to try to get as many individuals in that particular community as well. So that's definitely something that you should look at as well. Ms. Belcher stated
blah 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 blah.
Please forgive me if you did and I did not return.
He's really ain't talking about something.
I don't recall
He dressing, trying to clean up his BS. That's what he's doing. Blah 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 blah. The whole 3 minutes. He's still going to try to stifle your free speech.
Make sure that I give you a follow-up call, because that is what I do my best to do is to return.
Spent $21 million on ARPA fund money. And Ezel Brown, his department only got $100,000, while Piedmont Hospital that you got to pay to go in got over $1 million. He voted for that because Miss Kennedy was in charge of that money, her and Mr. Cooper. Stan Edward, Mason, Mr. Cowan, they voted to put Miss Kennedy over our taxpayer dollars. I wouldn't be surprised if she don't even live here, or I would be surprised. But better yet, her corporation got close to $1 million of that ARPA fund money. Go figure. Piedmont get over $1 million, she get close to $1 million, but our taxpayer, Ezel Brown, that what you pay taxes for, you don't get none of that money, $100,000. And then they want to give him $500,000 over 3 years. New grant money. Make sense of that. blah 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 blah. 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 Good night, New County. Vote these people out of office. They don't deserve those seats when they try to violate your right to speak.
Pending litigation, and we need
I have 3 minutes to do so. Please state your name and your address for the record, please.
My name is Dave Norton. I live in Newborn. I am here to comment on agenda item number 10, discussion of the ordinance to establish rules and procedures. I know it is not the desire of this board to silence the citizens of Newton County, but it does raise a lot of questions, which I'm sure our county attorney has probably already answered for you, but I'm going to ask him anyway. Will this affect our zoning hearings in any way? I understood we're going to be doing a sign up to speak. Will this also be required for zoning hearings? Well, there's 2 sections of citizens' comments, at the beginning of the meeting and at the end of the meeting. Will there be a separate sign-off for each one? What time will the cutoff be for someone to sign up to speak? Who decides which topics can be discussed on the second portion? Can this person overlook the person's sign-up if they don't want it to be discussed, even if it is relevant? And must we list the topics for both portions of the citizens' comments when we sign up? Also, will this go into effect the May 21st meeting if it's approved this evening? And does this meet all state and federal laws concerning open meetings and the First Amendment? Thank you.
Anyone else?
I too also want to speak on item 10. My biggest concern with this is number one, I know, well, obviously, it comes across as silencing the community. I don't think it's what the purpose is, and I understand that in the past, there have been meetings where there have been some things that got out of hand. I was not aware, I was not present at those meetings, so I don't know exactly what they were. My concern is we're going through a whole lot of legalese here, it seems like, to get to a point where we have sheriffs in this building. And it would seem to me a very simple procedure. Should someone step out of line
to them.